you are entirely exhausted, not because you are doing too much physical labor, but because you are spending every waking second of your life trying to manage the emotions of everyone around you, erasing your own desires so completely that if you were alone in a silent room, you would not even know how to sit, how to breathe, or what you actually want. If these words feel like a mirror you have been avoiding, I invite you to stay with me. Take a deep breath and subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding, where we untangle the hidden knots of the human mind together. Let us talk about this profound, invisible exhaustion. People look at you and they see someone who is endlessly kind, accommodating, and infinitely generous. They see a peaceful river flowing smoothly, shaping itself around every rock, going exactly where they need it to go. But I know what is happening beneath the surface of that water. It is not peace. It is a desperate, frantic paddling. You walk into a room and instantly, unconsciously, you become a highly tuned human radar dish. Your eyes dart to the doorway, measuring the mood of the person who just walked in. You listen to the heaviness of their footsteps, the slight tension in their jaw, the way they exhale, the subtle shifts in their gaze. Within a fraction of a second, you have calculated exactly who you need to be in order to keep the peace. You morph. You shrink. You mold yourself to fit the exact shape of their expectations. And you do this so seamlessly that no one ever notices the violence of it. No one sees how you are systematically cutting away pieces of yourself just to make sure no one else is ever uncomfortable. You say yes when every muscle in your body is screaming no. You smile when you want to weep. You apologize for breathing the air. You apologize when someone else bumps into you on the street. You carry the emotional weather of the entire house on your shoulders, believing that if someone is upset, it must be your personal failure, and your job to fix it. If they are angry, you must become the calm. If they are silent, you must fill the suffocating void with cheerful words. This is a terrifying way to live. It is like trying to balance on a thin tightrope, suspended over a dark canyon while carrying 50 kilograms of fragile glass, terrified that one wrong step, one misplaced word, will cause everything to shatter. The physical toll is immense. You live with a constant tightness in your chest. Your breath is shallow. Your shoulders are drawn up toward your ears. You are in a permanent state of brace, waiting for the impact of someone else's displeasure. And the deepest tragedy is the quiet, rotting resentment that builds up inside you, layer by dark layer. You give and you give and you give, pouring out your energy until your own cup is utterly dry. And then you look around, completely drained, and wonder why no one is rushing to fill it. But how could they? You have built an entire existence pretending you do not have a cup at all. You have convinced the world that you do not need anything, that you are self-sustaining, that you are perfectly fine being the background character in your own existence. You feel like a beautifully decorated but entirely empty house. The lights are on, the windows are clean, the doors are open for guests, but no one actually lives inside. You have abandoned yourself. I want to tell you a truth that might shatter the way you view yourself, but it is a necessary shattering, like breaking a window to let in the fresh air. This endless accommodating, this chronic need to please, it is not your personality. It is not some inherent sweetness you were born with. It is an armor. It is a brilliant, tragic survival strategy. I have noticed something deeply misunderstood about human nature. We think we are just being nice, but really we are surviving a threat. Somewhere in your past, perhaps in a house where the doors slammed too loudly, or where the silence was thicker and colder than a winter fog, you learned a very dangerous lesson. You learned that your environment was wildly unpredictable. You learned that love, attention, or simple physical safety was conditional. Maybe there was a towering storm of a person in your life whose rage you had to neutralize. Someone whose mood could turn a sunny morning into a nightmare in 5 seconds. Or maybe there was a fragile, breaking person whose sorrow you had to carry. Someone you felt you had to keep alive by being perfectly good. In that environment, you could not fight back because you were too small. You could not run away because you had nowhere to go. So you found a third option. You learned to appease. You realized that if you could anticipate their needs before they even spoke, you could prevent the storm. If you were perfectly compliant, perfectly helpful, perfectly quiet, you would not become the target. You learned to trade your authenticity for attachment. You traded your voice for your safety. As a helpless, small person, this adaptation was an absolute masterpiece of survival. You built a heavy iron shield, but you painted it to look like a friendly, smiling face. You learned to soothe the monster by feeding it whatever it wanted. But years have passed. Decades have passed. The original threat is entirely gone, yet you are still wearing this heavy armor. The war ended long ago, but you are still walking through peaceful meadows, treating them like active minefields. You are treating your partner, your friends, your colleagues, and absolute strangers as if they are the dangerous storms of your past. You are still negotiating for your right to exist. I want you to pause right now, wherever you are, and feel the weight of this realization. Feel the rust on the hinges of that armor. Feel how heavy it sits on your collarbones. The people in your present life are not the ghosts of your past. They do not hold the power to destroy you anymore. And if someone in your present life does demand that you erase yourself to keep them happy, if they demand that you shrink so they can feel tall, they do not belong in your life. You are a grown adult now, with agency, with power, with a voice. You do not need to be a chameleon on a burning tree anymore. The tree is not on fire. As we walk toward a lighter, quieter place together, I want to gently remind you to subscribe to the Psyche unfolding, so we can continue peeling back these heavy layers of illusion and finding the quiet, solid truth beneath them. Now, I want you to imagine what it would feel like to put down the radar, to step off the tightrope. I want you to imagine standing in a lush, quiet garden at dawn. The air is cool, still, and fragrant. There is no one here to impress, no one to manage, no one to rescue, no one to tiptoe around. You are just a single magnificent tree standing firmly in the rich earth. Think about a tree for a moment. A tree does not apologize for taking up space in the forest. A tree does not bend itself into painful knots just so the wind can pass by more easily. It does not shrink its roots to make room for the smaller plants. It simply stands, grounded, reaching upward, claiming its rightful place in the sun. I want you to learn the beautiful, terrifying art of letting people be disappointed. This is the hardest lesson, but it is the absolute key to your freedom. When you finally say no, the person across from you might feel a brief flash of frustration. They might be surprised. They might even be slightly upset. Let them. Let them feel it. They are fully capable of handling their own discomfort. It is not your responsibility to digest the emotions of the world for them. They have their own internal mechanisms to process disappointment. When you stop stepping in to save everyone from their own feelings, you actually grant them the dignity of their own experience. Imagine the physical sensation of reclaiming your identity. When you first start saying no, it will feel like you are doing something terribly wrong. Your heart will race, your palms will sweat, and your mind will scream at you to take it back, to apologize, to smooth things over. This is simply the old machinery of your survival instinct fighting for its life. It is the wound-up clockwork of your past ticking loudly in your chest. You must learn to sit with this discomfort. You must learn to cradle that anxious part of yourself, like a frightened child, and whisper to it that the danger has passed. Every time you tolerate the discomfort of someone else's disappointment, without rushing to fix it, you are laying down a new brick in the foundation of your authentic self. You are building a home inside your own body, a home where you are the master, not a servant. Let us talk about anger too. The anger you have been burying for a lifetime. When you stop pleasing people, the suppressed rage of 1,000 unspoken boundaries will begin to rise to the surface. Do not fear this anger. It is not destructive, it is incredibly protective. It is the fierce, fiery guardian of your self-worth awakening from a long slumber. Welcome it. Let it warm you. Let it remind you that your time, your energy, and your spirit are sacred resources, and no one is entitled to them without your permission. When you stop pleasing everyone else, you will finally have the energy to discover what pleases you. You will finally hear the quiet, steady voice of your own intuition, a voice that has been drowned out by the noise of everyone else's demands for so many years. The next time you feel the familiar panic rising in your chest, the desperate urge to apologize for something that is not your fault, the anxious to fix a silence that feels too heavy, I want you to just stop. Do absolutely nothing. Plant your feet on the ground. Let the silence hang in the air. Breathe deeply into the open space. Notice how the sky does not fall. Notice how the ground does not open up to swallow you. The world keeps spinning, even when you are not holding it up. You are safe now. You are allowed to have boundaries that feel like thick, impenetrable stone walls. You are allowed to be inconvenient. You are allowed to be messy, to change your mind, to have needs that take up a massive amount of space. You do not have to earn your place on this earth by being relentlessly useful to everyone else. You are worthy of deep love, of profound rest, and of unwavering peace, simply because you exist exactly as you are. You can stop running now. The long marathon of appeasement is over. You can take off the heavy backpack, filled with everyone else's expectations, a backpack you have been carrying since you were so very small. Feel the straps slipping off your shoulders. Put it down on the ground. Leave it in the dirt where it belongs. Step forward, empty-handed, incredibly light, and finally, truly free.